It was a moonless night when Miguel drove down the deserted road leading through the forest. The narrow, winding path was notorious for its eerie atmosphere and rumors of strange happenings. He wasn't one to believe in ghost stories, but tonight, the darkness felt heavier, pressing in from all sides as if the trees were watching him. His old pickup rattled down the road, the headlights piercing only a few feet ahead through the thick fog. As Miguel focused on the road, something flickered in the corner of his eye. He squinted into the distance and saw a woman standing by the roadside. She wore a flowing white dress that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Feeling a pang of guilt at the thought of leaving someone stranded in such an isolated place, Miguel slowed down and rolled down his window. The woman was young, her face pale and emotionless, her long black hair cascading over her shoulders. "Are you okay? Do you need a ride?" Miguel called out. She didn't respond, but after a moment of hesitation, she nodded slowly. Without a word, she opened the door and slid into the passenger seat. As Miguel drove, an uncomfortable silence filled the cab. The woman said nothing, staring straight ahead, her hands folded neatly in her lap. Miguel's attempts at conversation were met with quiet. The air in the truck grew colder, and Miguel could feel a chill creeping up his spine. His gut told him something was terribly wrong, but he couldn't place it. A few miles down the road, the atmosphere grew heavier. The trees seemed to close in, their branches hanging low like the skeletal fingers of some ancient, dead thing. Miguel glanced at his passenger. Her head was tilted slightly toward him now, her expression still blank. But her eyes, there was something deeply unsettling in the way she stared at him. Then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "This road, it's where I died." Miguel's heart skipped a beat, the blood draining from his face. He gripped the steering wheel tighter, trying to keep calm. "What do you mean?" he asked, though he feared the answer. The woman slowly turned her head toward him. "I was left here, alone," she whispered, "just like you will be." Suddenly, her once blank face twisted into a horrifying grin, her eyes dark and hollow. Miguel's breath caught in his throat as his truck veered off the road. The steering wheel wouldn't respond, and the brakes refused to work. The woman's laughter filled the cab, a high-pitched cackle that echoed in Miguel's ears. The truck crashed into a tree, jarring Miguel forward. Dazed and terrified, he turned to look at the passenger seat. She was gone. The door hung open, swinging slightly. Miguel stumbled out of the wreck, his heart pounding. But as he looked around, he saw her standing by the tree, her form flickering in and out of existence. Behind her, something hung from the tree, a man's body, swaying gently in the breeze. It was his own face staring back at him, pale and lifeless.